Well, part two of my conversation, I started there. Um, the role as I see it for a philosopher is not really political, and we get caught into it because we recognize the idiocy of this fraudulent competitive monetary system which has grown out of the ignorances of the people of the past. Now, it's rude to say that people of the past didn't know a hell of a lot. Obviously they did, and not only that, but technologically they were far superior in many ways, apparently, to what we're capable of doing today. I don't believe we can fit rocks today the way that, well, probably we can. But these people had achieved a great deal of sophistication. Those fluted columns of the Greeks and the carving and anyway, it was also a very powerful connection with space that's indicated, and if one traces back even the use of money, it seems to go back to about the time of well, let's put it this way, it was probably invented in the Middle East somewhere. The Ashkenazis had a lot to do with it, I believe, but I think the details of that are still sketchy. But the problem is that it's brought about such corruption. It's been warned against the worship of Mammon, the evil that gets in the way of our worship of God, the undifferentiated conscious awareness that is around us. So we put things in the way of it, whether we put priests in the way of it to direct our affairs, or we collect money so we can carry on our affairs. It's all fraudulent. And the same with the business of what should we say, fear. Fear and money ride together. Fear and money are almost synonymous. If you've got lots of it, then of course you're afraid you're going to lose it. And if you don't have enough, well, you learn to live without it. I seriously took a vow of poverty. I mean, it sounds absolutely romantic and lunatic. But a long, long time ago, I said, no, I'm not going to chase money. If there's jobs that need doing and I can do them and nobody's in a rush to get them, I'm not going to compete for them. And I suppose I have to tighten my belt if, I'm not going to be eating today or tomorrow or maybe the next day. Now, that's okay when you're a single person, and it does keep you slim. And I think I'm about only 20 pounds lighter than I was when I was 18 or 19. So I think health depends on actually not overeating. I think also health depends on probably not eating any proteins which are not natural proteins. There are many, many proteins and so on. But certainly the taking of life for food, to me, is really not the way for a civilized society to be going. What if the big, spider people came along and started gobbling up us? We'd probably not like it a lot. Now, of course, I'm not going to get too much into that, but in a manner of speaking, we have been crept up on by dirty tricks and blue meanness and people who are without conscience. The word for that is probity. The way of bringing back probity really is to find forgiveness, because these people know they've gone down a long way down the track to doing really evil things, and there's a certain point when their conscience kicks in, and very many of them at that point really want to get back on the bandwagon with the good guys, and we're not averse to that. We're not saying, listen, we're not going after the Governor General, we're not going after the Prime Minister, we're not going after the head of the Bank of Canada, all of whom are guilty of malfeasance to one another. We're not going to call Gordon Gibson, Gordon, what's his name? Anyway, the other guy, the Premier, back from his fancy job in London. No, that's... well, he may not have his fancy job anymore, but we're not going to bring him home to pillory him simply because we have forensic evidence on so many things. I'm not the collector of this evidence. I simply know that this evidence exists, and I know that there are civil servants, whistleblowers, still within the government who are really ready, willing, and able to come forward because they would like to find the same quality of forgiveness for not having opened their mouths sooner and spoken up, because before Canada slipped into this ugly situation that we have today, something approaching a near dictatorship, where people have been calling for rebellion, where there have been public gatherings against this kind of mismanagement of collective affairs brought about by banksters and the big corporations working together against the commons. And we are the commons. We are the 99% of the people that really want to live quiet, happy, loving, inventive, creative lives. And we don't want to be harnessed into job jockeying. And we don't want to be forced into political forms that have outlived their usefulness by people that have studied these forms and know how to manipulate people's lives. No, it's time for individual and collective sovereignty. And sovereignty means that unless you do any harm, then you have an absolute right to do anything you please. Now, if you're driving too fast, then be careful, because you are a danger to the public and should be recognized as such. And when we say, well, how are we going to enforce these laws? Well, when we return to probity, when we get away just being alcoholic soaks, when we begin to, wake up once in a while and be brave enough, for goodness sake, to eat a cookie or to enjoy. Mr. Harper, where's your courage? Are you telling me you're one of those people that really react badly to inhaling marijuana? I find that hard to believe, in which case I suggest you take some good LSD and clean your brain out so that you're beginning to think consciously for very many people. I've got a visitor, so I've got to stop right now. Hold on.